Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today I wanted to talk about the announcement that we got last night that Haksal would be retiring from the Overwatch League and retiring from Overwatch in general. This is going to be a bit of a shorter video probably. Just wanted to kind of give my thoughts on it and talk a bit about Haksal as a player and some of the things that are happening now as a result of Haksal retiring. So I think it's interesting that this announcement happened. Obviously, when it did, it's very interesting. It's interesting in general, though, just to hear about Haksal retiring. I didn't expect this. This is something that I am completely surprised by and shocked by. Whether or not he is going to play not Among Us, Valorant. Oh, I got Among Us on the mind. Whether he's going to play Valorant, I don't know. I remember he had a tweet like months ago where he like uninstalled Valorant and he was like buy Valorant or whatever. So, who knows? But like I said, NYXL had a tweet. In this tweet was also a video. I'm not going to show the video here, but I'll show just the text of the tweet and I'll link to the tweet in the description if you want to see it. But as NYXL says, one of the greatest Genji players of all time is retiring from the Overwatch League. We are honored to have had him as a part of our team during his memorable career. Thank you, Haksal, for all that you've done. Wishing you all the best on your next adventure. #ever upward. And it's interesting to see him go, because he's a player who was obviously super important to the Overwatch kind of life, the game, pre-Overwatch League. Haksal was the big player. I mean, coming into the Overwatch League, obviously he was a huge player that people were very curious to hear about and curious to see, and they wanted to know what he would be like and how he would play. And now, obviously, Haksal has retired from the league and will be moving on. Like I said, who knows where he's going to go, but it's interesting, and it's he was Rookie of the Year in 2019 on the Vancouver Titans, on the best team in the league. I thought that he was pretty good during his stint with the NYXL, even if he wasn't the best. He had his moments, and he definitely helped them in a lot of ways. I think that New York's plan going into 2021, they would have loved to have Haksal on their team, but obviously he is gone now. And yeah, I think it's something that I think could have some interesting repercussions. If Haksal just decides that he's just retiring from Overwatch and he's going to become a streamer, he's not going into esports with Valorant or another game, I think this isn't that big of a deal. I think that it could be a big deal in the sense of you're a player and you're just like, the Overwatch scene isn't really worth it right now, but I think there's some factors to kind of talk about here that could have gone into this. Number one, he was on a really disastrous Vancouver Titans team, and that team imploded because the organization was awful. And while I don't expect that was the same thing that happened while he was in New York, because nothing about New York, not just because I'm a fan, but nothing about New York seems to be that way. It seems to be a place that people enjoy playing for the most part. So I get the feeling that probably it was just kind of a combination of he had lost a lot of motivation because of what happened while he was with Vancouver at the beginning of 2020, and then also I'm sure COVID had a lot to do with it. He's probably just wanting to find a place to play or a game to play, or he just wants to kind of settle down for a little bit of time. Maybe, like I said, maybe streaming. I think Haksal would be someone who would have a huge stream following. I think he already has a pretty big following on Twitch, so it's not that surprising to see. So it is really interesting and unfortunate that a player as big as Haksal is retiring. But if he does go to Valorant, I think that is when you start to see some of these more serious problems and serious questions and concerns revolving around Overwatch and the Overwatch League. Because one of the biggest things, at least for me, that I've kind of looked at when I've said this is, so long as big name players in the Overwatch scene from Korea are still in the Overwatch League, then I think realistically you kind of assume that things will be good and things will be fine, because so long as the big name players in Korea are still playing, the game will be alive, because everyone's kind of looking at the league, and they look at the Korean players as kind of the highest level of players, even though North American players and European players are kind of leaving in somewhat large amounts and have been moving over to Valorant. So long as the Korean players are still staying in the league, that isn't really a concern in the same way that it is with NA players. But if Haksal, who is one of the most prominent Korean players, soon after Saya player leaves, if Haksal then moves over to Valorant, well, then you start to see some of these cracks. If it starts to become a pattern of some high-level Korean players leaving the Overwatch League to go pursue Valorant, it really only, in my opinion, becomes a major problem if we start to see it become a trend that is in Korea as well. Because I don't think it's a huge problem coming out of North America and EU, as much as we as NA fans and Western fans and EU fans want to say and think that the Overwatch League kind of lives and dies by its NA presence and EU presence. It doesn't really. It does to a degree, and if there is no talent coming out of NA, you have a problem when your league is obviously primarily based in North America. There's 20 teams, and 11 of them are in North America. I think 10 of them. No, I'm really bad at math. Like 15 of them. A little more than that, whatever it is. I don't feel like counting this off the top of my head. It's 13 of them. That's the number. 13 of the teams are in North America, 2 in Canada, and then the rest in the US. So I think it's very interesting if we start to see Korean players leave, because it shows that there is a lot more weakness in the Overwatch scene. It shows that the devs need to really kind of get their stuff together and get Overwatch 2 rolling and get the game out and say, hey, we have Overwatch 2 and it's a game that we have on the horizon and it's coming out soon. I think that would be very important. Obviously, we're not going to hear anything about it until February or January. I think it's February that we get any news about the game. So I think it is an interesting thing. But Haksal leaving is unfortunate. He's a player who I think was incredibly talented. He was by far one of the best Genjis in the world, and he brought a level of play that very few flex DPS players have brought throughout their time in the league, and I think that's a hole that, New York is going to struggle to fill that hole, even when you have talented players in your roster like Libero and Who Are You, who have had, some similar types of performances on certain heroes. I think that you're going to really struggle to build a foundation without a player like Haksal, especially when you look at New York kind of wanting to move this more like aggressive play style, and they've been playing super kind of passive for so long. It's interesting to see, and so I'm curious to see what happens, obviously, with New York. One, because I'm a fan, 2, because Haksal was such a big player on that team, and I think it'll be interesting to see how the team manages going forward and what types of moves they make to try to fill this hole, or if they even try, if they just kind of use what they have and hope that is enough. So I think it'll be interesting to see, but let me know down below your thoughts on Haksal's retirement, if you think he's going to play Valorant, if you think his retirement is a big deal, if he does go to play Valorant, any Haksal memories you have, favorite moments of his that you have. Comments down below, leave them. I'd love to read them and see them, but that is all from me today. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribing for more content like this in the future. I hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy, and until next time, bye-bye.